The show which you are about to listen to is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of close friends, in particular, a tight-knit band of employees from a small, local horror marketplace. It is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could have not expected, nor would they have wished to present to you as much of the madness and macabre that you're about to witness. For most, an idyllic horror podcast has become much more than a nightmare. The banter that is about to unfold will most likely lead to one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history. Welcome to Terror Traders Creepcast.
What's up, creeps? It's Jason, a.k.a. the Pope of Pain, and the co-owner of Terror Trader, your favorite year-round horror marketplace located here in spooky-ass Chandler, Arizona. Self-proclaimed, by the way, the scariest city in Arizona. I'm just throwing it out there, man. Hey, looking across the table here and hailing from Salem, Massachusetts, it's my East Coast goes. It's JDK. What's up, Justin?
What's going on, boys? Really excited about today.
Are you?
Yeah.
We're out from this weekend, man. We were peddling some horror this weekend, man.
One of the most fun weekends by far. Of our year.
We had a great time, man.
Good time.
Our Sales from the Dark Side Part 4 went amazingly well, man. And hey, of course, sitting at the southernmost portion of the pentagram, it's the guy who actually licensed Gucci for horror shirts. It's
it's a work in progress,
yes.
but we're going to get it done.
It's the Wolf Tummy. What's up, Franco?
What's up, brother?
Hey, we normally have Callie here, but she died.
Yeah. R.I.P., baby.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Wrong note. Sorry. No, she has, she lost her voice. But it's funny when she sent me a text and she goes, I lost my voice, I can't talk. And she took a picture of herself and she has like fingerprints all around her neck.
Oh my God.
So how's that engagement going there, Justin?
Oh, stop it.
All right, just say I'm just throwing it out there. I call the authorities, man. No, I'm just kidding. All right, but she's gone. But guess what? We have a special guest on today. I'm super excited about this. This is something, Jay, you kind of hooked up on this. This is great. So thank you on that, man. I appreciate it. But on the phone, guys, we have the owner and president of Fright Rags, my favorite T-shirt company in the horror world.
The best.
The
Everyone's
best,
favorite.
Yeah. Mr. Ben Scrivens. What's up, Ben? How you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. When Justin told me, man, he's like, "Yeah, look, I know the guy from Fright Rags." I'm like, "No, you don't, dude. Get out of here."
Yeah, dude. I met Ben in 2007. Ben, do you remember being at Monster Mania in 2007 at Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Jeez.
Oh yeah, I mean we've been going there since 2005. So yeah, it's been a while, man.
I still have those 4 shirts I picked up from you, by the way.
Really?
We probably only had 4 shirts for sale.
Hey, there might have been a wall of like 15, but I got 4 of them.
That's awesome, man. No, and that's something I want to jump into, man. In fact, Ben, let's just work backwards a little bit, man. I know in September 2003, man, you sold your very first T-shirt. All right, this is what I was told. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously, right? I want to kind of take us back to that point, man. I want to hear your story and tell the audience out there, all these creeps that are listening, about your story, man. So let's just go when you're a kid, man. Were you a big horror fan as a kid?
Yeah, man. So my first introduction to horror was October 30th, 1981.
Wow.
And so I was 4 years old. And we were at a friend's party. They operated a deli in our neighborhood, and they lived like behind and above the deli. It was like old school Italian,
Yeah.
And we were hanging out with them, and I'm the youngest of 4, so my brothers and sister were off hanging out with their kids and stuff. And I was really bored, and I was tugging on my mom like, "Let's go home." And she's like, "Just go watch TV." I'm like, "All right." So I sat down, turned on the TV to one of the 3 channels that was going on,
right.
And John Carpenter's Halloween came on, and I was 4, so I didn't know any of this, but like it was the network TV premiere. It was the NBC Friday night movie.
Wow.
So first time it had ever been showed on TV, and of course, as we all know, they filmed extra scenes for that movie just for the television scenes. So It was weird, so basically I sat in front of the TV for 2 hours, and for a kid who's only seen like Scooby-Doo and Popeye up to that point, I was like freaking out, but it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my short 4 years on this earth. And I wanted to see more. And it's funny, as I grew up and watched it more, I was like, there was more to this movie. I don't remember, it was just like a fever dream. And of course, as I got older, I realized it was a television cut. But that really started my journey. And so this was, of course, early 80s when, we had just gotten a VCR and, shops were starting to pop up. This was before Blockbusters took them all out, so we had like 5 shops in like our 2-mile radius. And by the age 9, my parents had signed the back of my one of my rental cards, so that was closest to us, that I could go rent any movie I wanted.
Really?
So I could just because I would go up there trying to get like Friday the 13th or Summer Party Massacre or something, and be like, "Are you okay to watch this?" And
right.
I'd call my parents and be like, "Yes, he's okay to watch it." You can.
It's amazing.
Youngest of 4.
That's amazing. But it is amazing that how video stores actually. I mean, same. I got not a similar story, but same thing. As video store, an owner basically got me into horror, right? And, basically pushing Texas Chainsaw Massacre on me at age 11, and it's like I can remember the guy's face. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I can remember the guy's face. I remember it's called Video Barn. Do you remember what your favorite video store's name was?
Yeah, Video Box Office.
Nice.
VBO.
Nice, man. Yeah. I used to love all those old mom and pops things, man. I mean, unfortunately, they're all gone, or most of them are gone.
You'd have like the beaded curtains in the back room.
Oh, shit. Yeah. As a kid,
we had the saloon doors in ours. It was right next to the horror section. The saloon doors, this little closet that you can go in. Yep.
Oh, yes, dude. I love that, man. No, that's awesome. So that kind of started working you into it, right? So, age 4, that's awesome. I mean, and having parents that's cool like that, man, to hey, go ahead and rent whatever you want. That's amazing, man. So
yeah, it's funny, like they were oddly like, okay, I was the only one in my family at the time that was into horror, so it was not like something my parents grew up with or my brothers even did. I mean, my brothers would rent movies here and there that were horror, but like they weren't like into it. Like I was reading Fangoria, I was trying to make my own fake blood, I was getting the latex and stuff, and so I think they were a little worried about me at first. They were like, I don't know, is he gonna kill us in the middle of the night or some shit?
right.
But they realized I was really into the idea of like the effects and stuff. Sure. And so I think, they kind of just, I wouldn't say they were like, oh, you can do whatever you want, but they were just sort of watching me from, a safe distance. Like, okay, right. We want to see how this is going to go for him. But obviously I didn't, start murdering animals or something.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I was like of my only friends too. Like I had a couple friends kind of into it, but I was really the one that was like, hey, let's go get Halloween 4 and like hang out and watch it. You know what I mean? Like that was me. And so my brothers did take me to some movies when I was younger. So I did get to see some of these in the theaters, which was great because they were older than me. So just growing up, I was into it. I was into a lot. I mean, I loved it. So as I got older, I got into graphic design and I ended up going to college for that. And I just wanted to create something. I just wanted to do something interesting and creative. I've always been artistic. So like whether it was music or writing or filmmaking and stuff. So, yeah, it was like 2003, and she was my fiance at the time, but we're married now. But we were living together, and we had an apartment. And we had jobs, but we didn't have kids or any other responsibilities. So I did a lot of stuff, just like, what can I do? And I was on horror message boards because this was before Facebook and all that stuff. And I was on these message boards, and one of them in particular, which is actually run by one of my good friends that I met at the time, Justin Mabry, who went on to form Trick or Treat Studios.
Yeah, big fan.
He and I became really good friends and would talk for hours. And I'm like, I have these ideas that I think would be cool on shirts, because I didn't own any horror T-shirts, which was weird because I loved random ass T-shirts from when I was a kid and stuff. And I started making up ideas. He goes, you should post these on my forum. I'm like, are you okay with that? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he posted them, and people were like, oh, I would totally buy that. And I said, well, maybe I should make a website or something and try to do it. And I basically took $600 of money I did not have because it was on my credit card, and I bought some shirts and started selling them. Basically,
wow, man. I mean, that's brilliant. I love how hearing origin stories like it sounds like I'm fucking a Marvel story or something. Right. But, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you're putting out Mabry's name, which I'm looking at an entire wall of Trick or Treat Studios masks right now. Obviously, even back to our library we have back here of I got a whole giant wall of Fangos, and Creepies and Eerie magazines, but how that influenced us as kids, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes this is the old guy, get off my lawn type of kid, but I worry about there's not magazines, there's not stuff like that really influences, kids. I mean, because back in the day, that was it. There's no internet. You had to look in the back of a mag. You wanted a mask, you had to order it, put, out to Battle Creek, Michigan, and send $3, and then hopefully in 8 weeks it shows up, or something like that, or even the old Distortions Unlimited guys, that was just so cool. And I feel lucky to be able to grow up in those 80s and 90s like that as well, and just sitting there staring at those magazines and dreaming that one day, hey, I'll do something in the horror world, man, and now I kind of look at us all, we're all kind of doing something in this world, which is super cool. You guys are doing way better than we are, but it's but it's it's fucking rad.
I agree though. Like there was a certain amount of allure and mystery that like you just said, you had to, you send your money in like 8 weeks to get a mask, and you're totally right. My son wants something from Amazon. He's like, "What? It's not going to be here till tomorrow." What? It's all immediate gratification now. I think when you have a chance to sit back and like dream, it's like leading up to Christmas is better than Christmas, because you're dreaming, and in your mind, your imagination is running wild.
Sure.
There's a little of that today because everything is so immediate online, social media, ordering, blah, 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 blah. It's just, I feel it even in myself. And I grew up, in the era, like you said, and it's like, no, man, there's got to be more like intrigue, and I think we've lost a little bit of that. You're right.
I agree. I mean, the weight was awesome. You're right, because when I would order a mask, it'd be like like a Dr. Tongue ripoff type of thing or something like that, right? And I'd be like, okay, now I have you don't know how long it's going to take because but say 8 weeks to build a costume and plan this out and like who I'm going to scare first and all that stuff. So that was actually fun. Once again, you're not stuck to a phone all day or whatever. But you
appreciated it more. There was an appreciation when you had to wait for something, and I think that's what's lost these days on a lot of different things.
I agree, and it's nice when we have kids come in the store and they pay for something their own money. Say like a mask, a trick or treat mask is running around $60 these days, and you can tell that kid he's counting pennies on our counter, and I was like, this fucking kid has saved his money to get this, whatever mask it is, this Frankie mask, and it's like that's awesome, what I'm saying? Because you're right, that this kid has been thinking about this, dreaming about this day to get this mask, and what he's going to do with it, have some fun with it or whatever, but. So there's still a little of that out there, I think, but look, even with your shirts, I mean, when you tease stuff that's coming out, I mean, the excitement builds, right? And it's like, okay, this is gonna be cool, and so I'm like, I still have that little excitement as a kid, like, oh shit, what's gonna drop, man? What's gonna drop, So, and I love that, man. So, no, all right. What to me? Okay, this is I love asking entrepreneurs this question, man. But how hard was it for you to quit your day job, quit everything in life, and dive full time into a dream that you're like, okay, well, first off, when did you do that? I mean, and then at that point when you did that, how scared were you? Like, okay, this is it. We're dropping everything into this shit, man.
I mean, yeah. So it was a little scary, but basically what happened was, I started in 2003, and like you said, and it wasn't like an overnight success thing. It was just I did it in my spare time because it was something that I love doing. So I never thought about actually making money in terms of like of course I always wanted to like make a living from it, but it was not something that I was just pouring all of it back in the business. I was just doing it to do it. Even though I dreamt about doing it for a living, I didn't even know how to connect those two. Right. Sure. So, a couple of years go by and doing a little bit better. And I do remember, so there's a couple things that happened. Once was in 2005. My job was good. I had a decent job, but I was looking for something else because I was getting a little bored at where I was working. And so I had to work on my portfolio. But I also had things I wanted to do with Fright Rags. So I remember specifically coming home one night and I was stuck in traffic and it was snowing. And I was just kind of, I don't know, I was just tired and I had all this shit I had to do. And I thought, I literally said out loud, no joke, to myself, I was like, all right, if I could wake up tomorrow and have a different job, or do Fright Rags for a living and making just the same money, and then I'm not talking about some absurd amount of money, just the same paycheck, doing one or the other, which would I pick? Right. And I literally just said Fright Rags. And I know that sounds obvious, but at the time, I was not making enough money to do this for a living. So I didn't think it wasn't a reality in my brain. Sure. And when I took money off the table and realized that's what I would love to be doing, it shifted my focus. And again, it didn't happen overnight, but it really I said, well, screw it. All my effort's going to go into that. Yeah. And then a couple of years later, my buddy actually said, he goes, can't you just quit now? I'm like, I don't even know what that even, how would I do that? What? Because I just had my first child and it was okay, how would I do this? So I found this online savings account that was not associated with my other bank. Mm-hmm. And I said, at the time, again, this is going back to 2007, it was 5% interest, which is insane, right? Because right now you get 0.0005%. But anyway, I said, okay, I'm going to take the money that I make at my job every week out of my Fright Rags account and have it automatically deposited into this savings account. And I'm going to do that every week. Nice. And let's see what happens. And again, the money is there. It's liquid. I could pull it out at any time, but I wanted to see what it looked like when it was removed from my Fright Rags account.
Right.
And I did that. And that was in like, I think September of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And then come January, there was an opportunity for another job. It was like a part-time kind of like low level entry job at this design firm that I really liked.
Yeah.
And I applied and I was able to get hired for that. And it was like 16 hours a week. And she's like, basically, you sure you want this? Cause you're coming from this. I'm like, yeah, I don't care because I want to go down to part-time because I have this other business that I'm running. And so I quit my job and started working there in March of 2008. Meanwhile, I was still putting my money away.
Right.
And then by August, I had to quit that job because I was too busy with Fright Rags. And I already had so I'd already had 6 or 9 months of income built up.
Yeah.
And I decided to take the leap. And it was weird. You know, the thing that scared me the most, and of course, this is during the entire financial collapse of the real estate market and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing that scared me the most, weirdly enough, was that I would somehow wake up the next day working for myself exclusively and like not do any work and just like be in my pajamas and eat Cheerios or, you know, Fruit Loops all day watching movies. Like, I don't know why that was a fear in my brain, but like that never happened. You know, like it was, I don't know. Like,
right.
Look, that was 14 years ago and I'm still going, I guess I'm doing this for a living now.
That's a great, I mean, because like, okay, we're sitting across the table with Franco. He's an amazing artist that works basically, you're your own guy, right, Franco? Yeah. I mean, and it's, but that's a big leap to take, right? And to support yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, Franco dresses like he still has pajamas on constantly and walks around, typical artist, but but you're doing well. I mean, you're making good money doing it and all that stuff. But did you have that thing? Oh shit, I'm going to just jump into this full time? Or
well, the pandemic is what happened for me.
Really?
Yeah, because it breaks you of that. If you're stuck at home every day. And you're like driving really hard in whatever job you're doing, that's your job as opposed to something that you're passionate about.
Sure.
And then that's just taken away from you. You're pouring all your energy into that.
Right.
And then you have like you finally have a breather and you have time to sit around and kind of be like, man, I could just do creative shit right now. And then my first day back after the pandemic was like, okay, people can go back to work. I quit within 20 minutes.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know what? I went in the bathroom. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to put in my 2-week notice. Uh-huh. But then when I went outside, I'm like, hey, you know what? I quit right now. And they were like, if you can't just quit, without, and I'm like, yeah, I quit. And then I'm like, so I was like walking out of the building, buying health insurance. So but it's like you just, that was for me.
And that's a big deal. You're right. Cause, being an entrepreneur, everybody's like, oh, you guys are so lucky. You just work for yourself. And it's like,
it's hard.
It's hard because if, you can't be lazy. And Ben, you know this more than anybody. It's like, if you're lazy and you don't want to work, you don't eat. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be grinding constantly. Yeah. You are the man. You're not working for the man anymore, but it's always scary, in my opinion, man. Because once again, economy, things change, and then competition as well. I mean, I imagine you can attest to that as well, right, Ben?
Yeah, and you're right. And not only if I don't work, I don't eat. I've got 7 other employees. You know what I mean? Wow. So it's not just me anymore, and it's not just my family. It's a group of people, and that's not an easy thing. It's not. It does weigh heavily on me, because I'm responsible for these people,
sure.
and in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously they have their jobs to do and whatever, but I mean,
you're right.
And, the buck stops with me and it really comes down, I'm responsible. I'm solely responsible.
And that's a big deal. You're right. You got a little bit of there's more weight on your shoulders now. And once again, you're in the horror business, which is, it's awesome. Everyone wants to be in the horror business, but it's tough, man. It's tough. So, all right, well, let me talk about your artists real quick. I've always wondered, man, do you have like 1 or 2 main illustrators, or do you have like a large pool that you just rotate items, rotate them through different designs?
It's a little bit of both. So Justin Osborne and Kyle Crawford are 2 of our stable artists. Like those guys do work exclusively for us. We also work with another guy, Steve Roman, who is exclusive to us. He does, exclusive in that sense. He actually works for NECA.
Oh, okay.
But he as a freelance thing, he designs our hats and he designs our palm beanies and
cool.
accessories and wearables like that. But But those three guys are kind of like our mainstays in terms of like, we're always going to them and we have schedules for them for all of their work.
Right.
But everybody else, there's definitely kind of a few other artists that we kind of, I don't want to say cycle through, but people that we work with from time to time, but more often some than not, because we've used them for a while and they're great. And it all depends on the idea and the style, and also who's available. That can play a huge part too. But like we get a new title and it's like, oh man, like, okay, we want the Osborne design. We know what Kyle's probably going to do, but we want this like cool pulp art that Yannick Bouchard could do, or we want this kind of look that Aaron Lee can do, or Zachary Brown, like just these guys that we work with, and girls too. Like we, worked with Sarah Deck, and so I mean, there's a lot of artists that we were like, oh, that person's style would be amazing for this. So, but obviously they got to be free and available to do it, the timeline and stuff. But
that's cool. I didn't know that. So it sounds like a large pool, and you could tell you have the eye, though. I mean, obviously you're a graphic designer, and because I mean, every shirt that comes through there, it's amazing, dude. It's beautiful. And is there a lot of revisions when you have? Well, actually, let me back up on this. I want to do this way, all right? Because I'm interested in the design process as much as you want to walk through. Once again, I don't know trade secrets or anything like that. But
no worries.
Let's walk through a mock design. All right. We look here at Terror Trader. We just got done with this big blockbuster called Satan's Single Wide. It was a shot in West Virginia.
Oh God.
It's a great movie. Anyway, so you guys decide it's a big hit. You guys are wanting to license this. So what is the process that goes through all this? How do you do this?
All right. So, in terms of, if we start with the license first, right?
Okay.
So what we have to do, obviously the licensing aspect of it is you negotiate with the studio or the person who owns the rights. You have to negotiate a licensing agreement. And so I'll keep it very simple I mean, it can get very complicated, but let's just give you an idea. Like, so let's just say the typical deals are 2 years. Mm-hmm. Typical royalties can be anywhere from like 10 up to like 15%, depending. Again, this is general terms.
Right.
And you usually have to pay in advance against those royalties. So like, let's just say it's a 10% royalty and we have to pay a $5,000 advance. Right. That means we give them $5,000 up front and we don't pay any money additional until we make over $50,000 in gross for that title, because, 5,000 is 10%, right? Right. So that's the simple math. And then, there's other things, you have to put them on your business insurance. A lot of times you have to do all this stuff. It can get pretty complicated, but so now you got the license. What you need to figure out is, well, what limitations are there? So depending on the studio, depending on the film, you will have limitations where you can't use this person's likeness. You can use that person's likeness. You can't do that. You can do that, blah, 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 blah. We kind of hopefully know getting into a certain deal, especially if it's a studio we worked with a lot, we know the ins and outs for the most part. Right. Sometimes they give you what's called assets, which are basically images and all these other things from the film that you can use because they're already approved. So that's going to make legal much easier because they're approved images. Sometimes you can't redraw them. Sometimes you can't even retouch them. Sometimes you can. So it's a whole litany of things that you have to understand, right? Wow. And sometimes we assume certain things, or you thought you could do certain things because you could do it before and now you can't. So you get caught up. So anyway, so take a movie. I'll just use Jaws, for example, if you wanted to take an example.
One of Wolf Tummy's favorites right here.
Yeah. We can't use anyone's likeness from that film. Zero. We cannot use Roy Scheider or Richard Dreyfuss or anybody like. Yeah. So we have to get around it, and so we also can't use a lot of blood. They don't want us to use a lot of blood on there. They don't want to. There's a lot of stipulations that Amblin and Universal really hold us to. So we'll come up with a concept. Like, it depends. The actual design process. So like, let's say it's Osborne or even Kyle. Like, those are the two guys where I'll go and be like, we kind of want you to focus on this element or focus on here or just have at it. And the thing is, Justin and Kyle they have great eyes. I mean, they're just amazing in themselves, like in terms of their composition and in terms of their eyes. So I want to see what they come up with first because I would rather them go at it. Right. Now, granted, there's plenty of times, and Jaws is a good example, where we have a concept that we give to them and I'll sketch it out and be like, hey, I want it to be this is our idea. And then I'll have them go for it. Sure. And that does happen. Like, we'll be like, oh, we really want to design with this person on it. Just go for it. Right. 9 times out of 10, usually what they deliver, they send to me and I look at it and go, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I'm not going to change a damn thing. But we might get stuck because that looks too much like that person, or that logo, we probably can't even use that version of the logo or whatever, but let's submit it and see what happens. So then we have to either way submit it to the studio.
Sure.
And then hopefully we've already gone through the process enough of vetting in terms of what's they're going to shoot down, and we've already circumvented all that so they can just say yay or nay. But that doesn't always happen. We had an instance a week ago that shot down several designs for property we have coming up that I thought were completely in the clear, and we have to kind of fight it a little bit. And we do have to make some revisions, but we got to kind of stand our ground and be like, look, these should be okay based on this and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's a battle. Sometimes it's easy. And sometimes, I mean, I was literally dealing with it most of the day today. We had some issues with sometimes you have too many cooks in the kitchen, and that becomes a problem. And you're like, it's not as easy as just telling someone to draw something.
Oh, I bet. And what's the turnaround? So like, all right, you get something from, say, Justin, right? Sends you, here's a design. You're like, Jesus, this is God's gift to horror right here. Okay.
Right.
And it's sent to the studio. Is it like immediate? Is it like a month? I mean, how long are you waiting for them to get back to you? And like, nah, or yes.
It totally depends. Sometimes, depending on the studio or person that owns the movie, because sometimes it's just like a person, right?
Right.
You'll get it. Like, there's some companies that we work with, we get it in like an hour or like less than a day, which is incredible.
Sure.
More larger studios, especially like Universal, they have like 10 days to at least give us some sort of yay or nay.
Right.
Sometimes that gets pushed a little bit, and we contact them, be like, hey, can you look at this? This is important. Sometimes, like, in the case of the newer Halloween films, 2018 Kills and now Ends, there's like 4 different companies that have to look at it and approve it.
Jeez.
And that is, especially when you're timing it for a release of a movie as opposed to just whenever we want to put it out, it's got to be out by a certain date. It puts so much pressure on, we not only need to get assets, but we need designs. And not only do we need designs, we need like 4 different companies to approve those designs without any major changes, so we can go back. Like, we were making changes to the 2018 Osborne design the night before we released it for pre-order.
Wow.
Really?
And I was like doing the changes on my computer when I was on phone with Justin going, no, make it look like this. This is the notes, blah, blah, blah. And then he had to go back and redo it. We had to do it. And then it was like, okay, sometimes it comes so down to the wire that, it's,
wow.
People don't know sometimes. It's crazy.
That's stressed me to fuck out.
Yeah, dude, I'm anxiety up already.
It can absolutely, believe me, there are elements that I get just completely.
What are you talking about, Ben? The t-shirt business is easy. I don't know. Yeah, right. Yeah, I knew this is why I wanted to do this, because and talk to you, because once with days with the print on demand and all that stuff, it's obviously people. Yeah, I can make a design, my own personal design, and get it printed, and make some t-shirts. But the big licensing stuff, man, and I knew that it was it had to be a pain in the ass, man. And in fact, Justin, you were talking about something earlier, right?
Yeah, dude. I was just curious. Like, I think I've heard that you talked in past about this, but I would love for you to be able to maybe possibly expand upon trying to like acquire a license from Scream, right? Like, so for me, like, I see a lot of Scream stuff come in here. I'll see Ghostface, but not the word Scream. Or I'll see Scream, but I won't see Ghostface. So like, why is it that we never see something with those two like fused together?
So Miramax, and of course now Miramax is part of Paramount, but they own the Scream franchise, right?
Okay.
So Scream, and when you're talking about Nev Campbell and Drew Barrymore, or David Arquette, anybody who was in that movie or franchise, that's all belongs with Miramax. Or of course, I don't know if it's considered Paramount now, but let's just call it Miramax, right? Because Miramax still does exist. But the mask that they actually used, and I'm sure you all know this, but just to reiterate, the mask they used in the film wasn't a mask created for the film. It was a mask that was already on the store shelves, created by Fun World.
Right.
So they didn't really own the rights to the mask. I mean, again, I don't know the details in terms of, obviously they had a relationship with the movie. It wasn't like they just used it without permission that I know of, but like, it was separate is what I'm trying to say. They didn't make they made sort of the Halloween mask for the shape, you know what I mean? Obviously I know it was Kirk mask, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they did something to it to make it its own thing. This was literally a mask you could walk into any costume shop and buy, right?
Yeah.
So there's an issue there with being able to merchandise them together. So Fun World has always retained the sole rights to the Ghostface mask and character, meaning they own the character and copyright. They own Ghostface. Like, they literally own it. So because they don't necessarily work together, you can in theory, you could license the movie Scream for T-shirts, but you would never be able to use Ghostface. Now, we've tried doing that in the past, but Miramax they weren't even licensing it out at the time, especially for the new film. Yeah. And even then, we wouldn't be able to use Ghostface. We could use some approved images, but that's it.
Right.
Or you can license Ghostface, the character, from Fun World, which we've done in the past, and just used Ghostface. And, we've done it in the past, and it's been okay. And, we didn't do it this time. I know Cavity Colors did it for theirs. So it's like, they're doing Ghostface stuff. And I think there's a couple other companies that do it, but we just didn't do it this time around because honestly, there was already some companies doing it. It was just the deal that we were like, it's okay. We're going to let this one pass for now.
Sure. Well, I mean, and that, do you get like, I don't know, like heads up? Hey man, we're getting ready to launch this next movie coming out. Do you have any insider, like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying insider info, but do you get a little heads up before us common folk here find out about the movie or whatever? So you can actually start working, trying to get licensing for this. So that way when the movie pops, because timing is everything, right? Perfect example, you nailed it with Fun World. We're a wholesaler with Fun World, and I'm still waiting for the 25th anniversary mask. It's going to be the 26th anniversary mask. Get it, man,
Right.
And that's something that I would say, what you think, Justin? Daily people come in. When's that coming in? And it's like, okay, so timing to me is everything, and I think by the time we get them in, people are like, I don't give a shit, or what, until the next one comes out, 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, do you get a little heads up prior to, or no?
It depends. There have been instances where we have. So what usually happens is we'll get kind of a heads up at Licensing Expo. So there's a big show in Las Vegas every year. Now, granted, COVID put the kibosh on that for a couple of years, but you still have your contacts and stuff. A lot of times they just want to show you the new stuff that's coming out, and sometimes it's valuable to your brand, and sometimes it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
For example, Universal's, might show us some heads up on Jurassic World or something. We're not going to get the Jurassic World license because that's a separate deal from their other stuff, and it's just not worth it for us. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I love Jurassic Park. Don't get me wrong, but like the whole Jurassic World tentpole that they have going on is a whole different ball game in their studio because that really is one of their tentpole titles, which I get.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like newer horror movies, it depends on the studio and it depends on what it is that we might get a heads up once in a while. Like I remember seeing really early on scenes from the Predator film that came out a few years ago, like a year and a half before it was even released to the public. And at that time, it was a different movie than what ended up being released to the theater. So even anything we saw and got images of was not even reflected in the final film. So it wouldn't have done any difference. We have the rights to that too at the time. It's usually when, like, for example, we already have the rights to Halloween 2018 and Kills and Ends. So
that's cool.
Like, that's something where, like for 2018, we got images of Michael like months in advance and the script and stuff like that. And like, that's pretty cool, especially me being such a Halloween fan. I was like, holy shit, like we get to look at this stuff. But obviously, you sign NDAs and, you can't disclose anything, which is completely fine. We weren't going to do that. But so it really does depend. Like, for example, not that it's a huge release, but Studio 666, we were already in talks with them like 2 years ago when we were even during the shooting of this film. And then it kind of, and so things went kind of silent for a while, and then they had announced it, and we drummed up the talks again, and we were able to do some shirts for it. So, nice. It depends on the property, I guess.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I've wondered. I've always wondered about that, man. But it's, I mean, just so when our movie comes out, Justin.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Keep waiting. But no, Ben, you bring up Halloween. I got to ask. I have one question I've always wanted to ask you: is how cool is it when you see like Jamie Lee Curtis and people on the set like wearing the shirt you created?
Dude, I can't even. Honestly, I can't really put it into words. We were in touch with Jamie. Over a year ago for our lunchboxes. She was interested because I'm, friends with some of the producers and stuff, and they got us, one of my friends got me in touch with her because she really wanted some lunchboxes for a charity. And so I had reached out to her again last fall, and I was like, oh, by the way, we're doing shirts for Kills if you want some. She's like, I would love some. And we were talking, and we sent her some, and, but I didn't realize she was going to like promote that, you know what I mean? Like wear them. Like, that sounds dumb. But you get what I'm saying. I didn't realize she was going to be posting her and like Demi Moore and Melanie Griffith, and I'm like, what's happening right now in my life? Like it was again, because Halloween being my favorite film of all time. I mean, I'm literally sitting here and I've got posters surrounding me of Halloween. I mean, it's literally part of my life.
Sure.
And to have even been a part of, whether it's making apparel or like, I was on the set of Halloween Kills. I got to meet her, or just even talking to her or being a part of any of this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if this all ended tomorrow, you know what? It was a really good freaking run, man. Because holy shit, I couldn't ask for anything more.
All right, look, I got a question. All right, and look, and for some reason Justin Mayberry is not answering my calls. It was just weird because I thought we were tight. So you don't have to give me anything, but have you seen concept art for her Halloween Ends mask yet?
No, I have honestly,
not.
and
Okay.
I'm telling you the honest truth.
He's not answering your call either. Then, all right, now
no, we haven't seen anything. We're actually at a point now, and I just had this conversation with them last week, the studio, and I was like, look, we're at a point now. We need to get, like, they just finished filming last month. But here's the thing. We're at a point now. I'm like, you need to start getting some stuff because we got to start working on this because it's going to take, I know it's only April, but we want to start putting out stuff in September like we've done the last two films, and 100%. That's not a long time. That might be 5 months, but that's not a lot of time.
Well, a lot of especially when you explained all the processes, goes into it. I mean, 5 months that's fast.
No, dude, and your Halloween Kills line, I mean, that was one of the fastest going things I've ever seen. I remember trying to get like out on a lunch break at the time, and it was already gone.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous. I mean, it was so incredible, and again, kudos to Justin and Kyle for doing what they did with the artwork and the assets that we had. I mean, we got some really good images and everything, but it was just, I'm not going to lie. Like, I was sitting on my back porch, and maybe because it was so stressful getting all that stuff and everything. But when Justin sent me his artwork, I started tearing up a bit because I was like, this is exactly what I was picturing in my head, because we had discussed kind of what it should look like.
Right.
We were both on the same page. He already had the idea, but it was kind of what I was thinking of. And it was just all of that time and effort. And granted, we still had to get it approved, and that was another process. But, it's stressful because you really want to do the best job possible. You want to put out the best possible products. You want people to be excited for it and the movie. Like, you want to just do good, and it really all comes from that place. So that's why it can get so stressful, because you just want to do good stuff.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely. Well, you're in the, like I said, you're in the world. You got some tough competition out there too. And I don't even need to name them, man. But it's so you obviously you want a better design if you can and all that stuff. And it's like with your artists, like I said, you guys are my favorites. You're just the way it looks. It's just amazing. So hats off to obviously Justin and the rest of you guys out there. How long does it take them though? So what's a roughly like? All right, you guys talked about the concept. All right, go to work, man. And what is the turnaround normally? You see a first draft from Justin to say.
Like Justin it'll be a couple weeks. Like for example, we were just on the phone today for like an hour because we're going over some things, and he has to work on a design for us for a property coming up. This one's a really kind of a quick turnaround in terms of when he's starting the work and when we're going to release it. We're actually planning this release in mid-May,
right? And
we need the artwork by the end of April. But so that's 2 weeks from now, essentially. But what we know, and we have to have time to print it. But what we know about what the title is that it's a very quick turnaround, and they've been very great with us. So I don't worry about it too much. If this were Universal, it wouldn't have happened. But if this is a different title, so it's not something that I'm overly worried about. Right. So, and I know he's really into it in terms of like which title it is. So I know he's just gonna even put more passion into it.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't in other ones, but like Kyle just sent me today. He sent me 3 or 4 designs for a property that's coming out, I think in June. Mm-hmm. He did them all today.
Wow.
And they were all for the same title.
Sure.
And so, and again, sometimes he'll give us 6 or 7 ideas, and we'll either not release some of them or we'll release them at different times, depending what they're like.
Right.
And again, we try to give him sort of ideas or directions for like, do one based on this, do one based on that. And, he'll whip them out, or I'll be like, hey, if you got an idea, just go for it. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
And he's very quick in that regard. So he'll batch a lot of his designs over the course of like a few days and a month. And but again, with those two guys, we always have. It's funny because you have those schedules where their working time, and then we have to have schedules for them, but also like the time it takes to get things approved. Right. So you always have to keep that in mind. And then, like, I basically had every week planned this year back last August, but all of that's changed. Wow. Because it's always going to change, but you always have to have backups to your backups. Yeah, and it's like it's look, our April, May, and June, I think even July changed like 3 times in the last 2 weeks because of what's been going on. Like it's a constant, oh shit. Okay, well I guess right. That release has to get moved. And then now we're dealing with supply chain issues from China and all these other things. So it's like, okay, anything else? Does anybody else want to chime in and have some shit up, or are we good?
Yeah. I know you have a release coming this Wednesday for Carrie, and I saw some of the designs, and they got some of the best artwork I've seen for Carrie shirts in a long time. Which artist did you have work on those?
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot because I know other companies have done it. I've seen some really good stuff out there. So the one that's the more skeleton-looking one is Justin Osborne, nice. And everything else on that release, from what I remember, was all Kyle Crawford, and he did. Again, Kyle's got this really great style that also has range to it, which I really dig. Like, he'll take something from, like a newspaper ad, or he'll take something that he'll find and repurpose it. And I don't know, man, like, especially, okay, again, going back to Carrie, we can't use Sissy Spacek. We can't use Piper Laurie. We can't use John Travolta or Nancy Allen or anybody, right?
Right.
So you've got a girl who's essentially, you kind of, if you don't use her likeness, you're either got her hands covering her face or you've got a silhouette. And again, both are fine, but like Justin came up with this idea of doing a skeleton. And okay, I love it because it's what you would see on either a movie poster or looks more like a book cover. Obviously, we know it was a book, but I mean, in the sense of this looks like a book cover that would have come out in the 70s. It's hand painted, and it just looks evocative, even though that image never happens in the movie or book. It looks evocative, so you want to read it or watch it, right?
Yeah.
And then just Kyle's, even honestly, like even just the prom, like advertisement, the red on black. I'm like, shit, I want to wear that right now. Like sometimes for me, the simpler the better. And I really dig. Oh my God, he's got some other stuff he just worked on that I hope gets approved. And I'm like, damn, I want to wear that right now. So
I think the excitement is like when all of a sudden you get an email and you know what's in this email. Say it's from Justin or something. You're like, oh shit, to see the designs, man. It's like Christmas, I bet, man. It's like, oh fuck, that's awesome.
It is. It is actually. It's funny because like by the time we end up releasing stuff, I've seen it for like probably a good. Well, again, sometimes it's really quick, but sometimes it's been like months, you know what I mean, that I've already seen stuff. And I'm glad other people get excited when they see it because, like, not that I'm not excited about it, but it's almost like you forget because you've already, by the time that thing's released, I'm already working on stuff that's 2, 3, 4 months ahead sometimes, and it's almost like old to me, even though no one's ever seen it yet, but it is cool. Like Justin sending something over to me or Kyle like texting me or messaging me and like, here's this, here's that. I'm like, oh shit, like that's amazing, like that's a fun moment because if I can get excited or we can get excited as a group, I hope that means everybody else will get excited because, we're not just looking at it like, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, sometimes you make compromises or sometimes you're like, okay, like, believe me, there's a lot of designs where I'm like, okay, I like it. I feel like we need to release that, but it's not something I would necessarily wear, but I get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You have to kind of open yourself up to like, okay, we're going to take a chance with this one, or this could fly, or maybe doesn't fly. We'll see, but it's a different type of style that we would normally do. Sure. But, because I don't want to get too cookie cutter all the time. I want to keep it fresh and interesting, I
agree. Totally. And I think you guys do, man. All right. So look, 20 years almost. Well, next year is 20 years in business, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to throw a real hard, I'm going to throw a fastball here and see if you can hit it. Favorite release to date?
Oh,
I knew that. I probably should have warned you in that prior, so you thought about it. We'll just. No, go ahead.
No, I have to say, and this might be a softball answer, although I don't mean it to be, but like our first Halloween release. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing, again, I sound like a broken record all the time, but like Halloween being my favorite movie, right?
Right.
that's a license I tried to get for many, many years. Like going back to like 2005, even though I didn't knew shit about licensing at the time, I still was emailing Malik Akkad trying to get the rights, right?
Right.
And we would start making some steps forward, and then boom, door was shut. And then there would be another person at this company that I'd have to talk to, and then make a couple steps forward, and the door was shut. And so this now again, I'm glad that happened because I didn't know shit about licensing back then, so I probably would have screwed it up, right?
Sure.
So there was a universe telling me it's not the time, right?
Right.
But when it was the 35th anniversary in 2013, we finally got through, and it was a very limited thing. We could only do it was like 2 posters and 3 shirts and like this box set or something.
Right.
But we got it. And I remember signing the deal. And again, at that point in 2013, we'd already done some licensing at the time. So I was a little bit more seasoned at the time, not as much as maybe now, but like that definitely knew a little bit more what was going on. And I just remember sitting in my backyard, having a drink and a cigar going, holy shit, I got Halloween. Like we're doing it official. And then I was like, holy shit, what are we going to do?
Right. Yeah. Now the pressure.
The thing is, at the time, no one was doing Halloween merchandise other than like what you would see in Hot Topic and Spencer's. Like there weren't other companies like us doing it licensed. I mean, like there were no other like Terror Threads or Cavity Colors or Creepy Company or name the 300 other companies out there that are doing horror shirts and that have the Halloween license. And listen, more power to them. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just these days it's so different.
Right.
In terms of you could type in Halloween movie T-shirt online and come up with 100 sites that have them, and half of them are licensed. Which is, look, as a Halloween fan, that's great.
Right.
But at the time, 9 years ago, it was like we were it. Other than like Mondo putting out the soundtrack, or like Trick or Treat putting out masks and stuff. I just mean in terms of apparel. So. Yeah. It was, I didn't think about that at the moment really as much as I did the fact that we got like the white whale for me,
Sure.
And for us since then, having a relationship directly with Malik and Ryan, who works at the studio too, who's become a friend of mine, like, that has been huge because it really started something for us personally and me personally on this road of creating like just Halloween merchandise, which to me is like really all I ever wanted to do.
That's all. Is there a dream property that you wish you'd get one day? I mean, is there something you sit back when I want this bad? But
yeah. I mean, shit, man. Friday the 13th is like the white that and probably close to that Nightmare on Elm Street. But like, honestly, trying to get those properties and getting in, like that has really been a thing. Now, again, years ago, we used to do them unlicensed on Friday the 13th or, like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. We would do those 3-day releases where you get in and out. But like, and I know people do that. And again, more power to you to do that. I just several years ago, I said, everything else that we do is licensed. Why would we do these unlicensed? It's not like we weren't trying to get the rights. It was just we weren't able to get them. And I was like, well, then we're going to not do that until we can do it officially. And I've, I basically drew that line in the sand several years ago, and we haven't really crossed it unless it was like a parody or something that we knew it would be okay regardless.
Right.
Because to me, it wasn't fair to what we were doing with everything else. And again, if anybody else wants to do it, that's totally fine. That was just the thing that I decided on, and I hope to one day we can do it.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I'd be I'd be stoked, man.
Me too.
I want to throw this out here before I forget, because Justin and I we had a conversation. And look, I've bought your shirts. I've bought a few other shirts from other companies, and Justin and I, we say your guys' shipping and customer service is the fucking best in the game.
Nothing like it, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's processed. I mean, so immediately, and I'm like already shipping, right?
Right.
So whatever you guys are doing, your staff in your warehouse, they're fucking killing it, man. So man, my hat's off to that, because that's something that these days I really appreciate, and that really it tells me which direction I want to spend my dollars with, right? When I get
100%.
Good customer service, fast shipping, I'm like, hell yeah. So congratulations on that. You guys have nailed it. I don't know what formula you're using, but don't change it.
No, I honestly, that sincerely appreciate that because, again, it's a testament to the people on my team. I mean, Heather and Jess and Eric, they're in the warehouse and they want to ship stuff out quickly. They are on the ball. Like it's interesting. Like, when you own a business, they always say, you're never going to have employees that care as much about the business as you do. And I understand that because, as an owner, and it's my baby and I get that. But I feel like I've gotten as close as possible with everybody on my team because they care so much. So you've got Heather and Jess and Eric was our most recent hire last year. He's been a good friend of ours for years, but they're the ones filling orders and doing all that quick shipping like you see. And then I've got Liz and Kimmy doing customer service and they're on it. And it's like, we are talking all the time about those things. And and what I love about it, I mean, I've been at jobs and I've known people at jobs. You're just packing something up and it's just a job. And what I love about my people, and we talk about all the time, is like, this isn't just a job for them. They see the whole thing from beginning to end. They see it online when people post. Like we share with each other on Slack all the time. Like, holy shit, look at this really nice message someone sent. Like, ordered at 10 a.m. and was shipped at 10:02 and or whatever. Like, something like you just said. And believe me, we get a lot of not so nice messages and things from people, which is it sucks your life out sometimes. I really feel bad, especially for Liz and Kimmy who get the front, the front end of they're on the front lines. But like, it really means so much to us when people say that because we do care about look, we're only as good as the quality of product and service that we're providing. It can be the best design that you've ever seen in your life, but if you have a bad experience getting your product or if something happened and someone just basically like, well, whatever, screw you, you're never going to order from them again, myself included. So that is hugely important to us, and I'm glad it's important to the people that work with me, because if it wasn't, there would be a problem.
It's top notch, man, and it's something that one day when we start shipping our stuff, I'm Justin.
I aspire to be like you, man. No,
I'm looking at Justin like, don't fuck it up. No.
What's amazing too is for like anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, you'll release maybe a teaser, and then as we get closer, you'll see more of the design and stuff, and then once the release comes, you guys hammer out his sizes really quickly. So as a buyer, I would think like, okay, this is gonna take maybe a week or two to come in. You would think, right? 2 days later, 3 days later, it's like, oh, here it is, across the country, right in front of your house. Like, it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And if you have
I even get surprised. Sorry, I was gonna say I even get surprised. There was like a release a couple weeks ago. I think it was like not even like it had to have been the next day, but like the next day, someone was like, "Hey, I got my pint glass." I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I was like, "How did that get there so quickly?"
That is amazing, because and that's something that, just like you said, hey, when you have a good experience, a good shopping experience. One, I don't care what I paid for it now, right? And
no, not at all.
Two, I'm happy as hell, and I'm going to reorder, man. I'm going to go back, man. And that's something that customer service is that's, to me, is one of the most important fucking things in the world, man.
Sure. So, and what's incredible, too, like, sometimes we're just maybe less of a fan of a movie than others, right? So sometimes you're not even interested in purchasing the merchandise that might be out there. For example, Carrie's not in my top 30 favorite horror movies, right?
Right.
So, like, when people announce, like, maybe this release is coming, maybe I don't have much of an interest, but then you see the design, and I think Ben, you mentioned Justin worked on the one with the skeleton, and then Kyle handled a lot of the rest of them. They blew my fucking mind to the point now, okay, Wednesday release, 10 a.m., got it. I'm going to be all over that shit, right? So, like, when you can have people just wanting to get your stuff, even if they're not maybe too interested in the actual movie itself, just appreciating the artwork and appreciating you, wanting to support you as a person, a company, that's pretty radical.
Totally.
Oh, thanks. You know what? I really appreciate that. And what I love is when people, even when it is their favorite, what I love is when people repost. Like, it's this interesting cycle now with social media. We'll post our Carrie release. Some people, will buy it, whatever. And I appreciate you saying that, because like, that's really awesome to hear that you would even buy it, even though it's not your, top favorites or whatever. But like, then people post and then people go, oh yeah, Carrie. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that movie. I haven't seen that in 20 years. And they go maybe rewatch it. And then maybe they want to buy a shirt, or go out buy the DVD. Maybe it's not just shopping with us, but like, I love how it almost helps keep things alive in some ways. Like, I like putting the spotlight on something that you might not see every single day,
I agree. That's good. I fucking hate Carrie, but I'll rock that t-shirt. I rock that t-shirt all day. He showed me the design. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Fucking crazy, dude.
All right. No, I don't hate Carrie. I'm not the biggest King fan. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's all right. Look, I run a horse shop. I should like the guy, but look, I'm also honest as hell, right? I mean,
right.
So
hey, if you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't
true.
have to like it. You know,
I'm a slasher guy, so
it's okay. I'm gonna buy you one. I'm gonna buy you one of the shirts on Wednesday.
See, that was the whole thing. I was trying to get him to buy me one, so worked. All right. Anyway, so all right. I got one more question, and then we have a few listener questions. I get running. I told you we'd be on a half an hour. Sorry, I already taken you over to an hour, man.
No, it's all good, man. Don't worry.
All right. So, look, this is I love asking entrepreneurs this because I usually stump them for a second, but then you'll come back and all right. If you could fucking time machine, Justin invented a time machine. Wolf Tummy did his little magic on it here, Franco, and we're gonna put Ben in it, and you're gonna go right back to 2003, and you got 5 minutes. What advice are you gonna give yourself?
I would probably just sit myself down and go, look, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change anything.
Yeah.
Just do what you need to do. Because here's the thing. I got here today by screwing a lot of shit up.
Sure.
And I basically failed my way here. And I'm going to continue to fail my way in the future because, look, I didn't go get an MBA. I didn't have some degree or get some piece of paper that told me I could open a business. I just did it.
Right.
And a lot of people ask me for advice and things. Well, what did you do? How did you do it? You just have to do it. And I knew jack all about any of this, right?
Yep.
I just knew I wanted to sell some shirts, and everything else, every little thing I've learned along my way because I screwed it up. But I'd also tell myself, just stay curious,
right,
and always keep learning.
Yeah.
And, I tell my kids this. I'm like, just because school's over doesn't mean you stop learning. In fact, I've learned more in these last 19 years working, doing Fright Rags than I ever have in any year of school in my life. And it's because it's something I love to do, and I want to soak up as much information as possible. So I wouldn't want to tell myself too much other than just keep at it. Just keep at it. All you need to do is keep at it.
That's a big one because I mean, look, I ran a couple businesses in the past, and now we're doing this, and it's you're going to have down days, you're going to be up and down, but it's persistence, and it's just just keep driving. And I'm right with you on that, man. It seems like a lot of people give up too early, right? And,
yes.
And you're gonna have these times where you feel. And I'm not in a t-shirt business, but another business, this is a horror business. Okay, this is not going to work, and you just want to quit and go get that 9 to 5 and whatever, and just have that whole job security thing. But your real passion is this. And then look, you're always going to have up and downs, right? You're always going to have there's going to be, I'm sure here at Terror Traders, there's going to be someone going to take our business model and run with it somewhere else. And okay, well, there's our competition. And now I'm like, just fucking quit. No, we're trying to make it better, right? And all that. So I imagine the same shit. And you're right, man. It's just too easy to say, I'm done, and I see that a lot of people come through the store, who say, yeah, I used to have a business, but it just didn't work out. And just because of, this and that, I'm like, fuck, you got to stay with it, man. And, so that's great advice. I personally think, man, So it's, I'd probably say the same thing. Or no, if I go back, don't hire Justin. That would be my first one.
Good luck with your music.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. All right. Okay. Can you got time for a few listener questions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
absolutely.
These are generic questions. I say generic. They didn't know you were coming on, but we get a lot of our listeners they like to pick our brains. So I think, well, let's get a little bit of Ben's brain in this as well. So it actually will probably amount to about 10 of our brains. And all right, Red Foo on Instagram asks, what is a perfect Halloween night for you? So you know what, Ben, go. I'll let you right on the spot, man. What's a perfect Halloween night for you?
All right. So one of the things I love about Halloween the most is trick-or-treaters. And so I like being outside and hanging out with people. So I guess the perfect night for me would be, I always get dressed up, usually as Michael, but sometimes I go as other characters.
Sure.
And I'll walk around my neighborhood and scare people, or just walk around and interact with people. So I'll do that, while my kids are trick-or-treating. And then if, it would be a really nice, maybe 70 degree or 65 degree night, which here in Rochester probably isn't going to happen often, but we'd have a fire. Yeah. Have a fire outside, maybe have the movie screen up while we're handing out candy, whatever. And then as the night dies down, I'd come inside. I'd probably, grab some bourbon or something, go into my movie room and just watch Halloween. And cap it off and then go to bed. Like that to me is like the perfect night.
Dude, it's like you're like exactly what I hear in Arizona, except it's not 65. It's like 110. So, no, I know it's rough, man. But that's the same thing. I don't know. You guys, same. What do you think, Justin? Same thing, right? I mean, it's you give me a little like light jacket weather. That's when I think we're from. Well, two of us are from the East Coast. Franco's from Italy. Jesus, I don't know what they do over there. But you know, it's like, and you give me a little bit of light jacket weather. The kids are going out there. I do the same thing, man. I'll scare some kids. You know, if I can make a kid scream, but you know what happens when they scream? They always laugh afterwards. So they're having a fucking good time. And so I want shit to remember. I go off on my house, so out front it looks probably like Terror Trader, you know what I'm saying? So, because I want kids. I always remember as a kid, there's always one house, you're like, holy shit, this thing's haunted, man, you know? Yeah. And they always had the creepiest shit out there. And here in Arizona, it's kind of weird because it's hot, dude. You know, October 31st, we've been out, it's about 100 degrees at one point, you know?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. But kids are tough, man. They will still don the fucking costumes and they're sweating their asses off. And you're like, hey, I'm going to make it worth it for you. I'm going to give you this big, giant melted candy bar, buddy. Fucking go with it. But
oh, yeah, you got to hand out the big, that's what we've done. We want to make our house a destination, too. So we hand out the big candy bars. We have every year it grows outside where we put more shit out there, and it's just I love it.
And I do cap it off with Halloween. The original 78, it has to be on there at least once, you know. And then I'll dive into some other shit after that. But yeah, Franco, what about you, man?
Oh man, nothing like any of the stuff you guys said. For me, it's like just sheer debauchery.
Really?
But I don't have kids, so it's just like chips, dips, chains, and whips.
Oh, nice. All right.
Whoa.
Cocoa nibs and chocolate and nipple play.
Oh, okay.
Leather and Skittles.
So I'm glad you got to meet Franco here. Yeah, that's I love
just
it.
kidding. That's like a normal day.
That's usually my November 1st, but hey, we can move that up to Halloween.
Like, hey, don't bring up my Christmas Eve.
Justin's going to get a big shock because you're from Salem, dude.
Right.
So that's like the king of fucking Halloween, right?
Yeah,
And now you're coming out here where, you know, Halloween 3, we get to the little first which says Phoenix. That's the best part, right? And that's it. Yeah. But what about you, man?
Yeah, I think much like you guys said too. I mean, Halloween's got to be a staple at some point of your day. You gotta hear that song. You got to see that intro. I mean, you got to watch the movie. So at some point of that day, it'll be that.
Yeah.
Trick or treaters is by far and away the best part about Halloween. So. Yeah. I'm trying to get to the point in life where I could give every single kid that comes to the door a full-size candy bar.
Yeah.
But until then, they're getting fucking apples and popcorn bars.
Oh, see, that's a hint, like telling me to give them a raise. All right, I get it. Jesus, man. Although I do one thing, man. When the kids come up, I did this last one, man, and you know, I'm very generous, right? But when a kid comes up and I'm like, "What are you dressed up?" He goes, "Myself." I'm like, "Get the fuck out." I go, I won't give him anything. I'm like, "No, you have to earn this shit, man." All right, you know.
No, my friend has a good solution for that. He gives out his kids' old Valentine's Day candy, like his stale ass candy. So he's literally has another a bowl full of stale ass candy that he gives out.
Brilliant. That is, I'm stealing that move this year, man. I ain't gonna
do
it. All right. Next question. It is from Pico666. Wow, is that like salsa type of shit?
Yeah, that's right.
Devil salsa. I love it. Best horror movie box art. Man, that is a fucking hard question, man, you know? I would say, I'll jump in. I'll let you guys think about it because I kind of threw this question. Best horror movie box art. You know what gets me? And this is back in the days where the box arts are brilliant because you go to, this was pre-internet or whatever, and you video store, or even the internet, but you can still go into Blockbuster, you're going to whatever, and a box art's got to sell you, right? Yep. It's got to pull you off in the sea of thousands of titles. This thing is fucking got to grab you and say, take me home tonight, right? You know?
Right.
So, Creepshow 1 and 2 have always done it for me. In fact, every time, so Franco will make a Creepshow, actual not life size, but a real 3D fucking version of the box art, right? And it's so dope, man. And it's like that right there, man, with the creep, it just has me, it puts me in the mood immediately to watch horror, man. So, and that's what I think a good box art should do, right? It should fucking grab you and be like, time to get rid of your rom-coms or whatever you like to, Justin, whatever else fucking Justin likes to. and watch a good horror movie. So yeah, Creepshow 1 and 2 does it, man. So Ben, what do you got?
So it's funny because obviously this could change by the day or by the minute, but
you say
like
Carrie. If you're saying Carrie, by the way, we have T-shirts now. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Honestly, though, when I think of what you were just talking about, how the box art has to stand out, right?
Right.
And to me, I go to the Video Dead because that box art is so sick, and it's just the funny thing about that is it's just like like most movies back then, where it's almost like the better the box art, the worse the movie was. Not obviously in every instance, but I mean in some instances, like Video Dead isn't the best movie, but that artwork is so freaking killer. Like,
is that the one that if I can remember, it's like a TV, like an old TV on the side, or and a guy's like coming out of it, right?
He's coming out, he's reaching out, and the light's coming out, and it's like. I mean, look, there's a ton like that, like Chopping Mall, and there's a bunch that I could list. But I mean, Video Dead to me was always like, as a kid, that just stuck out to me. I loved it so much.
I think that's a smart move. Right? You got to target your audience, right? Your demographics. Like as a kid, that shit grabs you. You're right, man. It's like, all right, Troma used to do that to me all the time. Like, there's box art Troma. I'd be like, this looks so juvenile. I'm right into this. Let's go, man. Give me fucking, Class Nuke High, whatever, right? So, Justin, what do you got?
As always, I'm going to do what I always do. I can't think of one, so I give you them both.
Okay.
Dead Alive, because I remember just seeing that box art on the shelf and just being like, what the fuck is that going on inside of her mouth? Right. That's definitely up there.
That was great. That was smart, yeah.
Yeah. But for me, it was it's just House, man. With the ding dong, you're dead. Like that, I'll never forget seeing that for the first time as a kid and watching the movie and how absolutely ridiculous it was and loving every single second of it. So
I agree, man. And you know what? You nailed it. Ding dong, you're dead, man. A good tagline on a box is just as crucial, So, all right, that's two good answers, man. I like that, man. That's finally we get some out of him. I'm just kidding. I bust Justice balls all the time, but he gives it right back.
He's got good choices.
Yeah.
Give him shit for nothing.
Franco, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Monkey Shines.
Okay.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You get like a little monkey. I'm like, is that as a kid looking and remembering me and my brother being like, is that a monkey? I'm like, he's got a knife, and that's it. A toy monkey with a straight razor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
that
got
monkey
me.
too. It's called the Jolly Chimp. Man, I have one here that actually works, and it's a 1950s toy, right? It is the most terrifying fucking toy. If you ever find one, I don't know, Ben, if you've seen one of these in real life. It does the clapping of the cymbals, but then you push down the head and his fucking eyeballs pop out and it makes a screeching sound. So like as in the 50s, as like a kid under 10, I would burn that thing, dude. That thing was scared the shit out of me. But that's a great box art though. In fact, we sell the posters all the time here, man. So yeah, that's pretty rad, man. All right. Last one. I'll get you off here. You got better things to do than talk to us, man. So, all right. Creeping It Real 462. I'm very impressed by these names, by the way.
That's good.
Yeah. Normally it's like you got some. It's like 4 hours long with
Satan Single Wides.
That's a good movie, by the way. Look, Ben, we're going to talk about Satan Single Wide when we're done here. Just a little licensing. It'll be cheap. Anyway, all right. He's like, okay. What is the last horror movie you've watched that really has stuck with you? The last horror movie. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I guess the one that comes right to the top of my head is Malignant.
Oh wow, James Wan.
That was such a wild ass film. And to be fair, like I was pretty tired watching it, and I was kind of dozing off a little bit. I liked it, but all of a sudden, it kicks in, and I was like, "What is happening right now?"
It was unexpected. It was unexpected for me because I'm like, you're getting a Wan movie, right? So you're like, I'm thinking Conjuring, a little, serious, and it fucking took a turn, man. And now you got some weird chick growing out of the back of someone else's head or whatever. It was pretty interesting. Some people liked that, some people hated it, but I dug it, man. So
I dug it too. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I mean, I got to watch it again just to kind of soak it all in. But I liked the fact that it was a bit of a slow burn, and then it just kind of, like you said, took a turn. You're like, oh shit, I didn't expect that.
Exactly. I want to go with Dead Snow. For me, Dead Snow, man. I don't know what it is. I've said this in podcasts before, but Nazi zombies are the scariest fucking thing for me, man. I don't know what it is. And then you mix, I think, the contrast from pure white snow and a lot of fucking gore and blood. Man, I think about that movie all the time. I think I got problems, but that's
a fun one.
Oh, it's great. That one and two is awesome, man. So those movies are constantly. I'm like the biggest. I'm like, you guys need to watch these Nazi zombie movies. People was like, okay, whatever, weird guy, fucking. I'm like, I promise it's fucking good. So anyway, all right. So Wolf, tell me what you got.
Bone Tomahawk.
Oh. Yes.
Dude, I don't know. I still don't
That's
know
a
what's
violent
happening.
fucking movie. man.
The scene when the guy's like, when he's behind, he's like, look at me, like it's gonna be okay. They're coming. No, nobody's coming.
Yeah.
And they use such a good prop, like such a good piece to like just slice that dude in half, and then they shove that thing in his mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, that is
and then they stick that thing inside. What's his name? Like who are these guys? Like I don't even know. Are they a species? Are they like relic Neanderthals? I don't know what's going on.
very underrated movie, man. Because it
Big
took me,
cast too.
Yeah, and it took me a while to watch it. This didn't seem like it was something I'd be watching, right? You know, it's like kind of westernish or what. I'm like, nah. But then I fucking watched it. I'm like, oh, wow, dude, where did this thing come from, man? Yeah, good movie, man.
Yeah, dude, the way they breed, it's just that movie's fucked up.
I expected that from Wolf Time, man. Wolf Time, he's got the darkest everything, man. It's that's
par for the course.
Well, I wouldn't say that movie's dark on my spectrum, but it's still
that's true too. Fair.
It did bother me.
All right, finally, JDK, what do you got, dude?
Yeah, man, I think you guys are going to be a little sick and tired of hearing me talk about this fucking movie.
If you say Warm Bodies, I'm going to fucking hang up.
Nah, get the fuck out of here. No, May the Devil Take You, man. It is just some evil-ass Evil Dead worship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they did Evil Dead almost as well as Evil Dead did. I mean, that shit looked gnarly. The blood in that movie, you talk about the blood on the snow in the movie you're talking about, the demons in that movie, the blood, that basement door scene, man.
Yeah.
Too much for me. Creeped me the hell out, and yeah, May the Devil Take You.
That's a good one. You seen that one, yet, Ben?
No, I haven't actually.
Definitely watch it, man. If are you an Evil Dead fan?
Oh, I love Evil Dead. Yeah.
All right, it's on par.
Yeah, it's one of those. Like, I think it was 2018. I believe it was a Netflix original. Watched it, blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
What country is it again?
Indonesia.
Yeah, it's out there, man. It's a good movie. So all right, well there you go. So all right, so Creeping It Real 462. There you go, man. Guys, awesome. Look, Ben, I can't thank you enough for jumping on here, man. And I've learned a lot today. I learned a lot. And your business is tough, man. It is a tough world to go through, and that's but you're doing a fucking amazing job. And look, we're very happy every time, like I said, we see your shirts walk through our door. Yeah, we don't sell them. Do you do wholesale at all, or no? You just straight out you guys. That's it.
It's primarily direct to consumer. We have some, like a couple smaller like shops that we sell to, that we've sold to for a while. We get a lot of requests. We just don't have a lot of time to be able to field a lot of those in addition to what we do on our own. The only other stores that we sell to on a somewhat regular basis now are Spencer's and Hot Topic, as a matter of fact.
Sure.
But that's only like a handful of designs at a time. It's a ton. And that's a separate arm of even our business. Like we don't even, like, our printers don't do that printing. We have somebody else take care of all those because it's the retail side. But even then, that's why we're able to do that for them.
So you're saying there's a chance. What's up? All right,
so there's hope.
Yeah, one day I'll wait till we get as big as Spencer's. So that would probably about 45 to 60 years by now. So no, I'm just kidding. Hey man, like I said, we can't thank you enough. Justin, thank you, dude, for the introduction. By the way,
dude, this means so much to me, man. Ben, I can't thank you enough as well. I've been such a big fan of yours for such a long time, since that August day in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 2007. I've been on your radar ever since. So I appreciate it, dude. This means a lot to us.
Hell yeah, dude. This is awesome.
Well, thank you. And listen, I appreciate it too. And thanks for being a supporter for so long. And I just appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, man. Guys, go out there and buy some damn t-shirts, man. It's fright-rags.com, or just Google it. They're gonna pop up, right?
Instagram everywhere.
Yeah.
Man.
Also check out. I do like your new Killer Clowns designs, the tie dye. It was so funny. Justin's like, they got a great tie dye design. Like, dude, I fucking hate tie dye. And then I looked at it and I'm like, this ain't the tie dye I'm used to, man. You have a total different pattern. It looks amazing, man. And I'll probably be hitting the old button here, the buy button.
I already got you covered, buddy.
Oh, good. See, once again, I bait Justin into that all the time, saving tons of money on shirts. So anyway, guys, it's fright-rags.com. Go on IG and Facebook. It's at Fright Rags, and I believe on Twitter it's at Fright-Rags. But check them out. Follow these guys. The best in the business. No doubt in my mind, man. So, Justin, you want to take us out here, man? What else we got for
Yeah, for the business side of things, as always, TerraTrader at TerraTrader on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you'll obviously find at _WolfTummy on Instagram, where you could send him all of your hate mail. We love giving Franco all of the shit. All of your cat photos to me. You guys know the deal. What is my Instagram? At ViolentJ with 5 T's.
Yes.
Just keep sending me cat photos. I'm happy.
Yes. Which is the weirdest shit ever. But anyway, yes.
But yeah, man, that's a wrap.
All right, guys. Once again, Ben, thank you so much, sir. You're freaking awesome. I hope we can do this again. If you're popping in Arizona, you got to stop by the shop, man. It's
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to.
We're having a good time over here, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody's listening, and we will see you next week.
Suffocating out in